Okay.
Good afternoon from Vienna. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. My name is Adela Mehijanic. I will be your host, and today it is my great pleasure to have my guest, Diána Diósi. Diána, welcome to our channel.
Thank you for having me. Before we start, I should say that whatever I say does not necessarily represent the views of my company or previous employers.
Thank you for that. Diána, tell us a little bit about yourself. So what is that you do? So where do you work? A little bit. We want to know a little bit about you.
Okay. So currently I'm working as a senior SAP consultant for an international IT consulting company called Capgemini. It's actually, I think, a French company. Well, not I think, it is a French company. And we have over 200,000 people worldwide. So it's rather big, but not that well known outside of the IT world. I've been working there for more than 3 years now. I started in October 2017. And I'm in Vienna most of the time now with Corona. Before that, or normally, mostly in IT consulting, it depends on the project itself where we are situated. So it's a lot of traveling in more peaceful times, I would say. So yeah, that's what I'm doing now. How did I get here? I was born and raised in Hungary and in Budapest. And my mom was actually amazing because she realized from a very early age that languages are going to be important. I mean, Hungarian is not really a world language with, I think, 30 million speakers at the moment. So yeah, I always was encouraged to speak languages, and I think it was also what I was best at and what I was most interested in. Honestly, I was never really somebody who had a clear path of, yeah, I love, I don't know, animals, so I'm always going to be a vet or something. Didn't really have it that cut out. But then languages were always, a good path. So I actually went to an Austrian high school in Budapest, where normally high school is 4 years in Hungary. But this one was 5 years because the first year we only learned German 22 hours a week.
Wow.
And then we had all the subjects in German. So I actually also did the Austrian Matura. And then the plan was already that I would move to Austria, but life happened. So I still did my bachelor's in Hungary, but that was in English, not in German. Then I worked for a year, and then for my master's studies, I came to Austria, to Lower Austria, to Krems, to the IMC Krems, and I did my master's in international business and export management with a specialization in international consulting. Yeah, I was actually very lucky because my mom was really supportive of this move. I know that for many families it's a rather big challenge to let the children go, especially if it's an only child. But luckily my family and especially my mom were really, really supportive and are up to this day. So yeah, I did my master's in Krems, started 2013, and then 2015 I came to Vienna because I got a job at Semperit in business process management. So there we did a project in Malaysia for SAP. So I also got to travel there to Malaysia, which was, I mean, it's pretty cool. And that's where I actually got to know SAP a bit further. And that's when I thought, okay, this could be something that I could do for longer term. So actually, I didn't know what I was going to do until I was around 27.
That's great. Better than, never, or better than later. So that's relatively, early, 27.
Yeah, I mean, knowing what I know now, if I had to start over, I would probably learn something like Wirtschaftsinformatik.
Okay.
But I'd never had anybody in my environment who worked in IT.
Hmm.
And honestly, when we were children, this was not an existing study.
Yes, yes, that's definitely true. Diana, how do you feel in the IT industry?
I like it. I think it's very dynamic.
Hmm.
And there are so many possibilities to come up with new stuff. I mean, okay, SAP is the big beast, the old
Yeah.
one. But even within SAP, there are so many things happening now with the movement to cloud, for
Hmm.
example. And there are just, yeah, it's very interesting to see how there are no barriers at the moment or we don't know where it's going to go, and that makes it rather exciting, and also trying to help the customers come up with the best solution for them,
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
And most of your work is done through Europe, so or do you have customers also outside of Europe? You yourself?
The customer that I'm working for at the moment is European.
Yeah.
But I'm currently service manager for the ADM services, which is the part that comes after a project goes live. So, keeping it running, the whole system. And most of the people in my team are actually in India.
Hmm.
So, it's sometimes a little hard with the time zones, of course, and but it's really cool. It's enjoyable. I always liked working with different cultures,
Mm.
and I always enjoy the multicultural environment. So it's
That's
good.
great to hear. So great to hear. Diana, coming back to your start, the first days, you moved here to Austria for studies and you
Mhm.
already spoke German language. So did you have any challenges then during your studies? And then later on, of course, your first job. So how was that? So how did you uh, manage that?
Um, I did speak German. I had the C1 level with the Matura,
Hmm.
but I never used it after high school. So I would say it was a bit rusty. And here again, a stroke of luck. Before the actual start of the master studies, the IMC offered a study trip to
Hmm.
Southeast Asia.
Wow.
So I actually got to meet the people who I will be studying with before starting to study, and it was 3 weeks. So I was already able to build up some friendships there that lasts still today.
Mm.
Um, and with this, well, usually they knew that I understood them, so it happened quite a lot that they would speak in German and I would just answer in English. And actually, to this day, with these friends, we speak English
Really?
as the main language. Yeah, because it's neither of our mother tongues, so it's fair kind of to do it. And through these friends, I think I didn't face that many challenges when I settled in here, because if I had any questions about German, I didn't understand anything, didn't know how things go, I could just ask them. And I'm actually really, really grateful for this, because they made me feel welcome and at home from the first second on, or even before I moved here. So I think for me, the challenge there was mostly starting to be an adult, moving away from the family house. Yeah, and then when finding a job, I got lucky again. I don't know. I seem to have had a lot of luck actually in the past 10 years or so. Um, because when I applied to Semperit, I knew that German is usually needed.
Mm.
And then during the interview, it turned out that it's going to be an international project, so we just switched to English immediately. But I would say that the Austrian colleagues really valued that I did speak German, with that, what also helped, I forgot to mention this, bringing my German up to speed again, was that during the studies, the master studies, I worked at McDonald's
Mm-hmm.
to finance my studies. And there I worked as a cashier, which meant that I actually got to speak with a lot of Austrian people. And it was great practice because, I mean, even if you have the C1 German, Austrian is a different kind of beast, I would say, with many different dialects, and that really helped. So I think it's very important to try to make as many contacts in German or practice German as much as possible in real life scenarios. When yeah, that's it. But yeah, so for the first job, German was not that important. Although, as I said, with the Austrian colleagues, sometimes it really helped.
Yes.
And then in my current job, it really depends on the project. Like, you would have clients from the DACH region. There also German is either valued or a requirement simply
Mm-hmm.
to speak it if the client's language is German.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for example, on my current project, the official project language is English.
Mm.
So because it's just very international.
But as you said, you mentioned luck a few times, and as they say, luck follows the brave ones. You know, you have to create the environment for this luck to happen, because you followed, you know, you applied for a job, you went for an interview, and then they said, okay, well, let's talk in English, but you didn't know
No.
this upfront. And when you mentioned the dialects, I remember when we moved here to Austria, I started learning German at the Deutsche Akademie here.
Mm-hmm.
Usual, you know, path for most of the people coming here. And then I remember the first day at work. So we had this introduction, you know, how it's usually, you know, there's like every department in the company is presenting their, you know, major projects, portfolio, and so on and so forth. And I came there, so I was with like two more colleagues. One of them was from Germany, northern part of Germany, so really speaking German language. The second one was Tanya. She's Croatian, studied in Burgenland, and learned German as well here.
Mm-hmm.
So we all kind of learned, she spoke, one of them spoke German, and we learned German. And when my colleague Horst presented, you know, the the product department, I was like watching the TV and not understanding a single word. And I was like, what did I learn in school? Because he spoke in dialect, like really,
Yeah.
really Wienerisch dialect. And I was just, okay, maybe it's just me, you know, maybe it's just me. I don't understand. Then in the coffee break, I asked my colleague, do you understand him? And then some of them like few words, but in the context. And I know we approached Horst and my colleague and said, could you please speak in Hochdeutsch, because otherwise I cannot follow you. And
Yeah.
in the company where I started back then, you know, I told them at the beginning, so during the application, during the interview process, I'm learning the language. This is what I know. And they said, of course, we will sponsor you and you will have classes and you will learn and so on and so forth. But that first day I will never forget, because it was like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even though the high school that I went to was Austrian and all of our teachers were Austrian, they spoke Hochdeutsch with us. So it's definitely a shock when you come to Austria, and then you hear one, but then the next one comes and it's totally different. And I think it's just so beautiful.
yeah, I really appreciate it here, because as you said yourself, here everyone speaks their dialect. So, you know, whatever, as well in the business meetings, I later on, I had business meetings, you know, if I go to Steiermark, then was a different dialect, and I could not, you know, notice all those nuances. You know, they tried, the guys from Vienna, they tried to explain me how the ones from Styria are talking and how, but I couldn't at the beginning realize all of that. And I really like that, because they really speak as they, you know, as they speak at home, and they carry this with themselves. And where I come from in Bosnia, it's mostly, you know, in these business settings or at university, you speak, really as they taught you in the school.
Mm-hmm.
You don't kind of show where you come from or things like that. But here is really everybody speaks their own.
Yeah, I actually heard it from Austrians a few times that yeah, everybody should just stick to Hochdeutsch, but I don't think so. I think the dialects give this
Yes,
flavor to the language that's really valuable.
I think so too. I enjoy it, and there are some dialects that I really really love, like Tirol and that part, Osttirol. So I melt. So when
Yeah,
they speak, I just like, oh my god, tell me more.
yeah.
Uh, Coming back to, I want to talk to you, Diana, about networking. So you and I have been introduced through a mutual friend,
Yes.
Astrid, who is as well a great networker. And
And actually, one
yeah,
of the people who I met on the Asia trip, so one of my first friends here in Austria.
you see, the world is really
It is.
small. It's small. So tell us a little bit, where are you active, in which networks, and how these networks, supported you in your career or in your private life? So how do you manage all of that?
I wouldn't like. There's the one from Astrid, the new IT girls, that I follow. I'm not an active member, unfortunately, because time just does not permit it. But I think that's for example a really
Mm,
good initiative, especially for women working in IT.
yeah.
We need to stick together, kinda. So there's that one. And actually, I tried some international communities on Facebook
Mhm.
when I moved here, like Hungarian communities, international people, expats, yeah, all these. And actually, right now, I'm also a co-admin in one of these groups. It's called the International Women in Vienna, which is a group that was created so that international people, international women can come together, ask their questions, get the support they need, be it bureaucratic questions
Mm,
or where to find a good doctor, or I don't know, which are the good kindergartens
yeah.
or anything actually. And then the hive mind can help them. Like at the moment, we have over 6,000 members.
Wow.
So usually there are some useful info or yeah, useful bits of information that can be given.
That's really cool. I will link the group, the Facebook group, in our in our comment section,
Thank you.
as well in the description of this episode. I think it's super important, and as you said, so there are. It's important to be part, at least I would say, to recommend everyone who comes here to be part at least of one of this network, especially with the international flavor like yourself. As there are so many things that you can ask and get the answer right away. As you said, it starts from very basic things. Where's the doctor, the
Yeah.
kindergarten, I don't know, going for a
Who wants to meet up for a coffee? Exactly.
yes. So I think that's all part of life. It's about creating the, as we talked before, this work-life balance. You're not
Yeah.
here just to work. You are here as well to have friends, and to make new friends and explore the
Yeah.
city, learn the language. So
Yeah.
really cool stuff that you're doing, and 6,000 members. It's really powerful.
I didn't start the group, so
Yeah,
the I would say the achievement is not mine,
it's
but yeah, I
collective.
think it's a real good community.
Yeah, yeah, that's really powerful. And I think in Vienna, it's everybody. So at least my experience is that everybody can find a group that really fits.
Yeah.
Different stages of life. If you're looking for a job or starting a
Yeah.
family, there are different topics.
Yeah, it's just important to keep an open mind,
Yeah,
I think, and to go after it instead of, just sitting at home like, oh, I
yeah,
feel so alone.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It can be
it's
challenging.
important to do something about it. I didn't for a very long time, for example. But then I started going to dance classes. It's something that you do and where you meet people and
Yes.
yeah, so just get out there and try to do something. Yeah.
That's powerful. That's powerful motto, especially now as well in Corona. So there's many online events and meetups and opportunities. Yep. So for me as well, I continued, meeting people online because it's somehow important more than ever to to see people, to talk to people from different communities, to explore different topics, and not just stick to to Zoom all day long for work, and then you just so there are opportunities, different opportunities for everyone. Diana, one other question I want to ask you, like all of my guests, is about, if someone from Hungary is watching this now, or from Bosnia and considering Austria, to move to Austria to find a job, start a career, or, do something or studies. So what would be advices? So how this person can prepare? Is there any way that they can, get themselves ready for the adventure?
I get this question rather often from friends. I would say that the most important thing when you get here is that you already have a base. So have a job, for example, and the rest would kind of come. It's important to be bold and open, of course, but I think it's a mistake that a lot of people do, is that they just come and expect that everything is going to, work out. It's not like that. I mean, Austria is the most livable city in the world for a reason. It is very, very good, but it is important to still, work for it. Like language, as we discussed earlier, I think it's, of course, it depends very much on the industry and from the type of work that you want to work in. But it definitely would make life easier if you speak German. So I think that's a good starting point. And as I said, I think finding a job is very important, because then you have the whole social system at your perusal, or at your service if you need anything. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
I was the one we were the one, my husband and I, who came here without a job. But we came here with a really, with the goal, we set our expectations. We were very clear with our expectations. We set 6 months. We came here with the savings. We prepared as much as we could from my home country, like, learning a little bit of language, so that I can at least, ask for directions or ask for this and that, so basic things. And we just tried from Bosnia to connect with people here that know someone who knows someone, so that when you come here, that you have the first, idea of asking the question. So how does it look like? How's the interview? If they invite me for the interview, or how do I apply for a job? How does the CV look like here in Austria and compared to where I come from?
Yeah.
And we immediately, enrolled into German classes. So my husband and I, we started learning the language, and felt, okay, this is the way how we can socialize, because at those classes you as well learn, get to know many people and experience the culture as well. And the reason why we moved here before we got the job was, it was back then, it was 2012, 2013. And it was, like we said, the best chances if we get here and, focus on this day in and out. And so I can, really get into that mindset. And if I'm applying from my home, it's always like, there's something in between, there's something, yes, tomorrow, or, if they want me for an interview, then I need to figure out how I get here, and so on and so forth. So we cut basically the, left things,
burn the bridge,
and said, okay, this is what we are going to do, and let's go there, and let's start over there.
Yeah, I think what you say actually makes more sense. It's not that you should have a job, but you should have a plan.
Yes.
and you should be able to know where you can turn to if you need help.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, networks or communities can be a lot of help.
Definitely. So if you come here, just, get yourself into that idea that, going out every day, it was like, for me, it was like a business day, it was waking up in the morning and just, going for hours of language, then hours for meeting people, sending CVs and so on. So it was very, very active, and I landed a job within a few months. Actually, I could choose from them. So it's really about, as you said, setting a goal.
Yeah.
Diana, before we close for today, tell us what you're reading. So any book that you would like to recommend to us?
I'm currently reading 2 books because there's the weekday reading when, before falling asleep, you just read something quickly, and this is that one. My partner and I, we both really like fantasy and sci-fi, and this is a compilation of fantasy short stories. It's called Shifting Shadows, set in a world where I'm reading the novel series, and I really like it. So this is the easy read for, if you just want to fall asleep. And then I have As You Wish, which was written about Carrie Elves. Do you know the movie and the book The Princess Bride?
Yes, I heard it, but I don't remember that I watched it.
Yeah, it's kind of a cult classic for fantasy lovers, and it just mixes so many genres. And this is written by the guy who played the male protagonist Wesley. And I got it from my boyfriend because As You Wish and The Princess Bride, it's kind of also an inside joke for us. So this is what I read on the weekend now, when I actually have the brain capacity to to be a bit more receptive.
That's really, really cool. So every guest has a different genre, different book, and so on. So it's really, really powerful community. So it's really good to see what you guys are reading and what you can recommend, and how do you unwind from your, business and.
For me, I'm always I love going to the cinema, which wasn't so good for the past year, but I love movies, and in this one he writes about how the movie was actually made and his experiences. So for me, it's also interesting from that level, or on that level.
Thank you, Diana, so much for being our guest today and spending half an hour with us, sharing your story.
Thank you, Adela.
Thank you. Thank you all to our viewers. And if you like the channel, please subscribe, like, comment. If you have some guests that you would like to see on this channel, please send me a LinkedIn message or comment directly on the video itself. That was it for today. Greetings from Vienna. Good luck with your plans on finding your job, start making it in Austria, and so on and so forth. We have a community on LinkedIn as well, our LinkedIn group, where you can as well join us and ask direct questions from our experts in this field. So that was it. Take care and talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.